welcome to my review of the 12th scale Otto Mobile Renault 5 Turbo. This is not the Renault 5 Turbo 2, this is not the Renault 5 GT Turbo, the Renault 5 Alpine or Gordini Turbo. This is simply the Renault 5 Turbo, which is the mid-engined rally car for Group 4. Like I said, this is 12th scale, it's a resin model. Otto produced 999 of these, and they've recently produced another 999 in the blue colour that the car was originally available in. This is a 43rd scale I'm showing you, I think by IXO, yes that's correct, of the blue car, which had red parcel shelf, red carpets and blue seats, as opposed to the blue parcel shelf, blue carpets and red seats of the red car. Talking about the colour, you'll notice the plastic aero piece up here, and the bumpers are in a slightly lighter red than the rest of the car. That is correct. And for the blue we get the same effect, we get a slightly lighter blue. Now, the Renault 5 is an interesting car in that conventionally it would have a front mounted, longitudinally mounted 4-cylinder engine, so longitudinally in line with the direction of the car instead of across, and interestingly the gearbox would be in front of the longitudinal engine. So you'll notice, the first thing you notice about any Renault 5 is how far ahead the front wheels are. It looks more like a rear-wheel drive car. Here's a Otto Mobile 1/18th scale Renault 5 Gordini or Alpine Turbo, and you'll see there the distance the front wheels are in front of the front doors because of the longitudinal engine. Now, this made it ideal in some respects for making a mid-engine car out of, because for a mid-engine car you want the front wheels fairly far forward, and it means that basically the engine was turned around so that you had the inline 4 with a gearbox behind it, which is conventional for a mid-engine car, well, except that normally it would probably be a V8 or a V12. So here the rear wheels are set further back than on the conventional front engine, front drive Renault 5. So it's got quite a long wheelbase for such a small car, which made it more stable on the rally stages, easier to drive. Right, okay, so bearing in mind this is a resin model, there are no openings on it, and the wheels don't really want to turn, which is fairly typical. Now, and then the windows are fairly flat plastic, not particularly a moulded plastic, although the front windscreen does have the curvature to it, but the side screens don't. The rear screen has a small amount of curvature, and of course in the rear screen you've got the classic turbo logo and lettering, and the sticker that promoted Renault's Formula 1 win. Now, back in 1979 my dad bought a brand new Renault 18 TS Estate, and it had the very same sticker in the rear window advertising Renault's Formula 1 win and that heritage for the car. So it's quite a hefty model, being that it's cast resin. The finish isn't bad, the paint's good, I'm happy with that. This actual one has a slight indentation in the roof here. I'm not sure why, this is a second-hand model, you can just see it there. It shouldn't have that, maybe it got pressed on or something. And also this particular model, the antenna is a little bit bent and curvy. It's very fine, which is accurate, Interestingly, this 18th model, I would say, has a larger aerial than the 12th scale model there, which doesn't really make much sense. Well, possibly it does, but it seems a bit wrong. Now on this model here, you see there's wing mirrors on both sides, but on the homologation special, you've only got a wing mirror on the driver's side. Now, what was amazing about these cars really almost was the seats. Let's have a look inside, and you've got these extraordinary seats with the great contrasting carpet colour. Amazing seats, really. But so many of these don't have their original seats anymore because they were converted for rallying or they were used too much, and things have just not lasted very well. So the turbo lettering down the centre of the door. On later Turbo 2 model of this car, this would say Turbo 2, but the Turbo 2 lost these seats, which is a real shame. And it was in a way it was a simpler, cheaper car. They made about 3,000 of the Turbo 2 and only 2,000 almost of the Turbo 1. Renault, that is, making the actual car. You see these turbine style alloy wheels, which was very Renault at the time. Definitely a classic mark on that. Let's look under the car. Yep, you've got the rear engine followed by the gearbox there. Not a great deal of detail. Some there, let me put it that way up so everything becomes legible. Right. There we go. But this car's got such a wide, aggressive stance, and it's kind of strange in a 70s style car with the very slab-sided sides on the car. I mean, to me, my grandmother owned a Renault 5 in the 70s, so I always had a little bit of a fondness for them. Right, so there we go, not too bad, quite happy with that. Good detail, good enough detail. It's a nice large model if you like your large models. Okay, not bad. Thanks for watching. Do subscribe to the channel. If you buy things like this on eBay, do go to buynowsearch.com, where you can store your searches, and it will email you of any new fixed price, typically buy it now items that are being listed that match your criteria, which is important because buy it now items can be snapped up in minutes, and you miss the chance to buy them if you don't have something that tells you immediately of their availability. Thanks for watching, and do watch my other videos.